Hello and welcome to the Realizing Resilience podcast. I'm your host, Nate Fournier, and today we are brought to you, as we always are, by Reimagined Roots, transforming backyards into glorious, sensational ecosystems packed with food, medicine, and native plants, using permaculture design to create sustainable, regenerative, resilient communities, starting one backyard at a time. And that starts with you. And it's not only about how you manage your landscape, it's also about how you buy your food. Today, I want to talk about a few things. One, most importantly, is going to be the movie Groundswell. This is a documentary that was released on Amazon Prime. It is the third release in a 3-part series, starting with Kiss the Ground. If you have not yet watched these documentaries, pause this and do it. Next time you sit down to watch a movie, throw it on. I swear it'll change your life. It's one of the best, most well-produced, and the most well-explained documentaries of its kind. I mean, really showcasing the power, the benefit, the need of regenerative agriculture. And it's hosted by or narrated by Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore. So it's getting a lot of traction, and it's been almost 10 years since Kiss the Ground came out, and on the newest release, Groundswell, they talk about how much of an impact it has had. And I feel like that is the limiting factor here, is just awareness. And that's why I have this podcast, to shout from the rooftops, to tell the world that there's a better way. I've written it down before. My life's purpose is to show and teach people how to make the world a better place through permaculture and through intentional design. Create a permanent culture. It's so important, and it starts with the way that we manage our landscapes and the way that we grow our food. Regenerative agriculture is the answer. It's more profitable. It's easier. There's so many benefits. Like, we are sequestering. It is the antithesis of what we currently do. It is the opposite when it comes to modern agriculture, conventional farming, which tills soil, loses topsoil, releases carbon from the soil and into the atmosphere, and then depends on expensive chemical inputs. And it's all by design. And now we just know better. We're switching from chemical agriculture to biological agriculture, using biology to access the nutrients that plants need, which in turn gives us as humans the nutrients that we need. And there's this sunk cost fallacy, I think. I mean, we have just gone so far down this road so fast that it's hard to envision changing it. And that is like the linchpin, but it is changing. Like, we are changing it. And I think for most homeowners, I don't think, most of the people on this podcast, you're probably not a commercial farmer, but you probably are a gardener. And so I just, there's this side of it, which is my whole business, right? I mean, we are transforming suburban backyards to have the most ecological impact as possible while providing as many of our basic human needs as possible. And we can do both in the same footprint. And then agriculturally, it's just the scale of it is what's daunting, but the proof is in the pudding. It is changing, and farmers are getting more profit with less input. And it's not more yield per se. It's not pound for pound corn, wheat, and soybeans like conventional agriculture has optimized for weight and has done a very good job of that. But a regenerative farm can produce not only, say, like cattle farming, right? Not only the meat from the cattle, but also chickens and eggs and pigs. And especially if it's in an agroforestry system, you can also get chestnuts and hazelnuts and elderberry and these symbiotic polycultures where functions are stacked and outputs are diverse. And I want to talk about diversity a little bit more. And there's a whole way to, we can think about it from a farming perspective, and having diversity in what we grow is really important. And history has taught us if you grow the same species, the same cultivar of one crop for millions of acres, 10,000 acres, one pest, one disease, a blight, one bad season can ruin you. We learned this from the Irish potato famine. So we now know better. Like, diversity is crucial. That's like rule number one of nature, is to create and value diversity. And so the way that we manage our landscapes in our own backyards, having diversity there is important. You can have your yard, but also have some native plants, also have some fruit producing shrubs, also have a raised vegetable garden bed. Like, why not? Just to have diversity is a beautiful thing. But I want to go in a little bit of a different direction. I want to talk about diversity in skill sets. This might be a little bit of a tangent, but I was thinking about this the other day, and there's a lot of talk right now about how many people are losing their jobs to AI. And I mean, again, another story from history, over and over and over again. New technologies are developed, entire industries are transformed, millions of people are put out of work. This is the Luddite philosophy and historical analysis of, the Luddites. I believe it was the not the printing press or the cotton gin or the loom, like for making textiles. Don't quote me. I'm not sure which it was. I think all of them apply. But factory workers, now one machine can do the work of 50 factory workers, and now all those workers are out of a job, and they strike, and they burn down the frickin' plant and destroy all the machines because they want to keep their jobs. It's a really interesting psychological analysis, because when it comes to AI, I mean, there's a lot of resistance to it and a lot of good reasons to resist it. And another analogy to the way that we scale and grow and invest so much into technologies before we really prove them out. And it just takes time, and we are so impatient as a species. But I think that's what we've seen with agriculture, conventional chemical agriculture. I mean, it was World War II. It was 1940, 1945, when we started like these massive international marketing campaigns to transition from the old ways of growing food to new chemical agriculture. And it was an easy sell, because you can show a farmer like, hey, spray this on your crops, we'll give it to you for free. And then their yield doubled or increased by 50%, like a massive visual impact. And so the salesman says, this is what it costs per acre, and this is your output per acre. Look at all this profit. Look at all the output. Like, look at the, it's a win-win. And we were sold, and it worked. Until it didn't, until we realized that there's a diminishing return, and that the soil life dies with these chemicals, and then the plants, the crops become dependent on the inputs. But then you need more and more inputs over time, and you get less and less yield, to the point now where it's entirely unprofitable to be a farmer. And now government subsidies come into play, where like conventional farms wouldn't be able to exist in a free market if the government didn't buy them out and support, bail them out and support the chemicals that they have to use and subsidize these crops, especially corn, wheat, and soybeans, like millions and millions of acres that goes to feed cattle and livestock and not humans. And there's just this rift, and like, as soon as you dig a little bit into it, it's like, oh my God, like we made a mistake, and we have to dramatically change course for the sake of all life on Earth. Like, we have made a huge mistake. And that same philosophy we have to apply to AI. And we're looking at these technologies, and Humans love a good mystery, right? We just have no idea. We can forecast, we can analyze, we can ask AI, hey, what's going to happen next? Like, as this technology develops and more people get put out of work because AI gets more and more powerful and can do so much, never mind when they couple it with robots and like talk about farming and just having humanoid robots or autonomous vehicles. I mean, already there's a lot of progress and there's like these two schools of thought, and it's really, really important as a human to be conscious and to hold two opposing ideas at once and to really think through these different mindsets, right? So imagine chemical agriculture. You have a conventional cornfield and you have to weed that field. You can either spray glyphosate from an airplane and soak and use Roundup Ready corn seed that you have to buy in that's patented and spray that herbicide, and that'll kill the weeds. Now there are robots, huge tractors that drive across that field, have a camera, is able to use AI to identify what's a weed and what's a crop, and use lasers to zap individual weeds as it moves across a field. So now there are no chemicals and there are no workers. So there's like this conundrum, and it's hard because that sounds great. Like, sure, why? Like, let's do that. And let's think let's think long and hard about the repercussions and how that applies to different industries. It's crazy. We are living in a crazy time, and it's very exciting because we're going to see some shit. Like, things are changing so fast and nobody knows what's going to happen next, for better or worse, and it's just like pretty black and white. I feel a lot of people see this as like, we're going into the Matrix and we're going to be slaves to the AI, straight up Terminator future scenario, or we are going to live in utopia and we're going to get universal basic income and we won't need to work anymore because AI will be doing all the jobs and government will just pay us to live, to do whatever we want. Maybe. So there's so many variables, but talking about resilience, talking about diversity, I want to talk about skill sets. Like, if you've gotten your PhD in computer engineering and now AI can code and like can potentially take your job. I mean, maybe PhDs are still, unless you pivot and lean into it and say, okay, as a professional computer scientist, now I'm going to be an AI developer because coding the way I was before is now obsolete. But even to the entry level, like an entry level, I mean, any industry that works on a computer, like, there's so much disruption right now. So having diversity in your skill sets, like, it's great to be a master of something and have a skill set, but that's only the top, 5% of the population are like PhD level kind of workers. For the rest of us, I mean, who are kind of, you have a bachelor's degree in engineering or in science or biology, like, there's so many of those kinds of jobs that are going to be affected by this. I don't know. I encourage everybody to pick up a damn hammer, learn basic construction, learn the trades, because that's like a good backup plan. Like, you can talk about resilience, like having diversity of skill sets. I'm so grateful that I took a leap. I mean, and it was a pretty serious change of career. Like, I was an engineer and I had this path set for me where I have a bachelor's degree in engineering. I could go on and become an engineer, and I could work my way up the ranks and be like a proficient technical engineer in any, like, mechanical engineering is a very broad area of focus. And so you can specialize from there. But like, I'd be set, making a very healthy living for the rest of my life and being able to switch jobs and just like have job security. And I still have that as a backup. I still have that degree, but I was only 24, 25 years old when I decided to do something different. And I had a lot of student debt, but I decided to learn construction. I was really interested in real estate, as talk about diversity and resilience of financial independence and financial freedom. I didn't want to depend on my day job to put food on the table. And so I learned about real estate investing. I bought some rental properties and I learned how to flip houses. I learned construction from scratch from YouTube. And I just like got into it and I built my tool bag, my literal tool bag and my philosophical tool bag of like, I can learn these skills that now, I mean, I could just be a handyman. I could be a carpenter and make a great living. Worst case scenario, like I'll never be without a job because I'll always be able to find work because I have that diversity in skill sets. And of course, like the homesteader lifestyle lends itself really well to this. I think, that the concept of a jack of all trades and a master of none is often better than a master of one. Diversify your skill sets, diversify your income streams. That is what, like, the foundation of resilience is diversity. Diversity of thought, diversity of expression, and design it. Like, in design is fundamental. And so to have diversity in the way that we live our lives and then to intentionally design diversity into our lives, into our personal lives, our core values, our exercise regimen, the way that we create and connect in community with others, the way that we communicate just in general, express yourself and experience different points of view and different political philosophies and different technical skills like using your hands, using the computer, using AI, like learn about it. Don't be afraid of it. Learn about it and be able to see like, oh, the more I learn, the more I realize this is crazy for better or worse. This can positively change the way that we are impacting our planet, or it could destroy us all. And like I think just being able to pivot and ride the ocean, like feel the waves of these different thoughts and feelings and your own emotions when it comes to all of these things. Diversity by design, whether that's in your backyard, in your garden, or it's the way you live your life. That is my message to you. Now, go home and watch Groundswell. If you haven't watched Kiss the Ground yet, watch all 3 in that series. And I hope it swells your heart the way that it does mine. I mean, I was like bawling my eyes out watching this movie talking about regenerative agriculture because I have fully committed and internalized it to be like my life's purpose. Like this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to shout from the rooftops and share and educate and show people that there's a better way. There's a better way that we can live as a society, and there's a better way that we can live as individuals. We can eat healthy food. We can be stewards of our landscapes. We can be the greatest healing force this planet has ever seen. I think that's our purpose collectively. Like as the intelligent species, I think God put us on this planet to garden it, to observe it, and to interact with it in an intentional way with consciousness and design. Like humans can design nature based landscape. Like just we can look at nature as like the ultimate designer. That is God's design. And we can learn from it and apply it and use our hands and use our brains to do these things that I think facilitate and support life on Earth. That's our purpose. That's my vision. I have hope. I am optimistic. I think that we can make a change and we can do it together. So everybody go watch Groundswell, go watch Kiss the Ground, and every day in every way, continue to get better and better and keep growing.